Hello and welcome back to Hudson Auto Films. Today we are finally continuing on the 4x4 Supercar. If this is your first time tuning in, we are embarking on combining a 1994 Land Rover Discovery and a 2007 Aston Martin V8 Vantage. The Land Rover body was rotten, but the chassis was good, and the Aston body was wrecked and had no mechanical components. So I thought I'd take the good from the Aston and the good from the Land Rover and make one. We're actually doing it. So far in this series, we have removed the whole body from the Land Rover, leaving just a driving chassis. We then stripped any remaining parts off the Aston, and through a kind of bizarre, sketchy method, I was able to drag the Aston body onto the Land Rover. Then in the last episode, I began cutting the Aston body to allow it to sit as low as possible on the Land Rover chassis. Today we are doing a lot more cutting, and hopefully we'll have the Aston body actually bolted on to some degree to the Land Rover by the end of today's episode. That's the goal. We'll see how far we get. If you want to skip ahead and watch me chop this thing up, here is where you need to skip to. But quickly, for returning viewers, if you're wondering why I disappeared for about 6 weeks, the reason was not lack of passion or drive, it was purely the boring topic of money. For this next stage, I had to buy quite a lot of body panels in one sitting in order to determine exactly where the Aston body will sit in relation to the Land Rover chassis. As you can see right now, the front wheel arch and the Land Rover wheel are not sitting exactly where they need to be. And obviously we've got no reference really at the rear, apart from the other side. But the other side didn't have a wing. So I had to buy a variety of body panels, so in this episode we can get a full profile of the Aston body and determine where it sits in relation to the wheels. Simple enough, but Aston body panels, even though they're not horrendously expensive, when you need to get several in one sitting, it's quite a lot. But with that said, if you'd like to support the Patreon, please click the link below. If we can get a good little following on there, that will mean episodes can happen a lot quicker. So, what are the main things I got for this episode? And for those who have been watching this series, you'll be very happy to know I finally have a reciprocating saw. The battery's not in. I do have a bunch more bits which you'll be seeing across this episode and future episodes, but these are the main things I needed to create a side profile of the car. I'm desperately hunting for a front bumper. They're only worth about £100, but the only ones available right now are priced by Breakers Yards at like £600, which is ridiculous. So for now, this will have to do. But because we've got a door that side, we've got the rear quarter, unlike this side. We'll now have the bumper, which completes the arch, and we'll have a front wing, which will give us most of the front profile, as you can see on this side. So that should be all we need for now. A couple of things I did off camera yesterday because I was excited about the reciprocating saw. I chopped the lower portion of the chassis legs off even more as they are resting on the mount, as you can see below. Now there is good clearance. I also chopped off this crossbar which connected the front wing mounts. A lot of you were against that idea, however, I have to reiterate how strong these pillars are on their own. I will be reconnecting them at a later date, but for now this just allows us to get the body at the height we need. So, enough talking. There is a bunch of places on the Aston body that need cutting, and I will show you them as I'm cutting them. Then hopefully the Aston body will be sitting on our Land Rover outriggers. So, let's go. Well, that was a lot of cutting. That reciprocating saw is an amazing tool, but it certainly takes you for a ride. My whole body is still vibrating 15 minutes later. Before I give you a closer look at the impact that's made, I hope you can see how much lower the car is. We are now actually sitting on all four of the Land Rover body mounts, which I didn't expect, especially as we've got some more cutting we need to do at the back. The back body mounts are higher, so you can probably see a slight sloping, but we really have come down a lot. The brace at the front, which I showed you earlier, initially after the little bit of cutting I did yesterday, was about ½ an inch below the radiator. Now it's a good 2 inches below. And for the first time, the engine is looking scarily high. For a long time, I was kind of amazed at how well a Land Rover engine fit inside an Aston Martin engine bay. However, now we are definitely as low as we can go without causing major issues with the front body fitment and bonnet and wings. I've already had to take the front wing off as it was stopping the body going lower. So I need to do a bit of cutting on the radiator, nothing crazy, just around the frame of it, not actually the radiator itself, to allow the wing to sit flush. But let me show you all of that and everything else we've done in a bit more detail. So there we go. As you can see, we are sitting on the body mounts. This one, unfortunately, is sitting on a bolt. That's why it's kind of looks like it's floating a little bit, but that is all good. As a result, the car moves around a lot more than it did, which is what we wanted, so we can position it properly, as it's literally just the smooth body mounts against the smooth base of the sills. Taking you inside, again, none of this cutting is final. I'm still trying to cut the bare minimum, which sounds a bit ironic when you look at this. But all the final cutting will be done once we've mocked the body on, taken it off again when we're restoring the chassis, and I can clean all the cuts up. But now we have absolutely no clearance issues at all, apart from back here. If you look, that is still resting on the chassis. It's peculiar because I thought that would stop the back of the car sitting where it needs to, but obviously it doesn't. But regardless, we want to chop that across here so we have no kind of annoying knocking or vibrations which would inevitably come with leaving it. As you can see, we're also getting very close here. This is where the shock should be mounted. It's missing, so we'll have to do a bit of trimming around there. And taking you round to the front, this is really kind of where it's got a lot lower, or at least visually it feels a lot lower. As you can see, we're sitting so much lower down, and the front wing basically interferes with this bit, which is quite convenient, so I can cut that off and our wings should sit flush. Here is another good reference. If you refer back to the beginning of the video, you'll know that our Land Rover body mount was sitting a lot further away from this portion of the chassis. Right, so that actually exhausted 3 batteries doing that. The reciprocating saw absolutely eats up batteries, it turns out. So I'm going to go home, charge things up, then we can dig into removing the last little bit at the back. We can start modifying the radiator and getting the front end fitted and finalising kind of our placement for the body. Bloody hell. Do you ever have those moments where you question all of your life choices? I think this is a good example of why you shouldn't build something in a dimly lit barn. Now, I'm joking to a point. Pulling it out into the real world is a little bit shocking, especially for so long I've been looking at just one side of it largely, and without body panels it's quite something. It really doesn't help that every single body panel is first of all kind of hanging on by a thread and is dented and all the rest of it. But it's kind of made me think about the build and what direction to take it. So obviously, in my opinion, the biggest issue is the back end. It sits so high, but we're already at the kind of capacity of height unless we start doing other things to the chassis. And that is significant, especially in the UK, because the second you touch a chassis, you chop it at all, that means it's no longer technically what it was, and you have to undergo an IVA test. IVA? I think something like that. But really, to make it look how it should, the whole car needs to come down a lot lower. And again, another kind of slightly misguiding element is the wheels and the suspension height. The wheels look far too small, and it's because they are too small. It needs much bigger wheels, and the suspension is high, so we can obviously lower the suspension. You get lowering springs, or you can cut the springs. It's kind of stopped me in my tracks really today, because I wanted to mount it next, but I'm a bit stumped on what to do. So here are the options, really. Option one, obviously get everything fitting correctly, cut the outriggers so it can sit lower, at which point we'd also have to chop the chassis kind of there and shorten it and obviously brace across, which isn't the end of the world, because obviously the only thing really at the back is the fuel tank, but the Aston still has its fuel tank in here, so we can use the Aston fuel tank, which I think would look great. So yeah, shorten the chassis, have the car sit a lot lower, bigger wheels, lower suspension, and continue with a full body Aston Martin on a Land Rover chassis. Option number two is more of a hybrid, and I don't know if I'm leaning towards this idea because I'm so used to seeing the stripped back other side, but let me show you what I mean. There are lots of perks. For example, the front I think looks really cool, and obviously once we trim the width of that bumper, I think it'll look really cool, and obviously have a front bumper from the Aston. But this is really kind of what I've been used to seeing, and to me that looks so superior to the other side. And I suppose that's because there's a lot less things clashing. Obviously, kind of ignore the bumper hanging on by a thread there. But I suppose the alternative option would be, obviously, give it a complete Aston front end and then do something a bit more custom for the back. You know, create some sort of body panel, create a more kind of buggy feel. So obviously we're going to have to do a roll cage anyway, but kind of really incorporate that into the design and then create some sort of kind of more simple panels to tail off the back. That would obviously then allow for us to not mess around with the chassis at all. We could keep it at this height because I feel like the front with bigger wheels would look great at this height. It's just the back end where everything seems to get a bit messy. But yeah, I'm very open to either option. I kind of need a bit of perspective from you guys because I've been staring at this for too long, questioning my life. There's lots of very good parts about this, but it's just like any build when it's not really been done before. You are suddenly tackling things that you could never plan for. But yeah, I don't know, I think as I said before, part of this is to do with the panel fitment. It's not helping the cause at all, but the back just looks so bonkers. But I don't know, maybe it's growing on me. But there we go. Apologies, as I thought we'd get the car mounted today, but obviously new questions have arisen. But regardless, it is a big milestone that we've managed to get the car to this point where it is sitting on the outriggers, body panels are on. Whether that's a good thing or a bad thing, I'm not quite sure yet. But yeah, we're getting there. As always, thank you so much for watching. Please like, share, subscribe, all of that sort of thing. It really does help me out. And if you'd like to support the channel further, please do check out the Patreon. It'll be linked below. Any donations on the Patreon go straight into the build and just allow me to make episodes quicker. But regardless, I'm just pleased you're here. So until next time, take care, and I'll see you then.